الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الناصح الأمين. اللهم صل على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين. ثم أما بعد، يا عباد الله، العبادة, worship, this is something that is tremendously important in the life of the Muslim. It is incumbent that we understand its reality and that we strive to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala earnestly. Al-Allama Al-Imam Abdurrahman bin Nasir al-Sa'di rahimahullahu ta'ala, he says, وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْمَقْصُودِ مِنَ الْعِبَادَةِ. He said, and know that which is intended from ibadah, that which is intended from worship, ibadatullah, is the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal. But not just the mere worship of Allah Azza wa Jal alone, just worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon ignorance, upon jahl. But he says ibadatullah wa ma'rifatuh, to worship Allah and to know about Allah, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to know about Allah Azza wa Jal, wa mahabbatuh, and to love Allah Azza wa Jal. It is incumbent that we worship Allah, that we know about Allah, and that we love Allah Azza wa Jal. Wal inaba ilayhi ala dawam, and that we are compliant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we are returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we are off going back and repenting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ala dawam, constantly, continuously. وَسَلُوكُ الطُّرُقِ الَّتِي تُوصِلُ إِلَى الدَّارِ السَّلَامِ, and that we tread upon the paths, that we take those paths that lead to the abode of Salam, that we take those paths that lead back to Al-Jannah. We take the path that leads to Al-Jannah. So when one reflects upon this, then he realizes that we're not speaking about just a mere acknowledgement, nor are we speaking about that which resides only inside of the chest, nor are we speaking about that which is solely upon the tongue, but rather we're speaking about that which consists of true Iman. And the true Iman is that which resides in the heart. It is that which is upon the tongue. It is that which is upon the limbs. Because Iman, قول باللسان, قول باللسان, وعمل بالأركان, واعتقاد الجنان. Because Iman is a statement upon the tongue, it is a action upon the limb, is belief in the heart. يزيد بطاعة الرحمن وينقص بطاعة الشيطان أو عصيان, and it increases when we are obedient to Ar-Rahman. Our Iman increases when we are obedient to Ar-Rahman, to Allah Azza wa Jal, and it decreases when we are obedient to Shaitan, or when we commit sins. It decreases, it goes down. So it is incumbent, ya ibad, that we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we truly believe in Allah ta'ala, and that we strive our best to live our lives in accordance to the sharia of Allah Azza wa Jal. The Imam rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَأَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ, but the vast majority of human beings, the majority of human beings. And this is why the ibrah that which is given credence to is not the number, because the majority of human beings, غَلَبَ عَلَيْهِمْ حِسٌ, the majority of human beings, they are overcome by their feelings. The majority of human beings, they are astray. So the criteria is not based upon the number, but rather the criteria is based upon following of the truth, even if you are small in number. As Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, Al-jama'ah ma wafiq al-haq wa kunta wahdak, that the jama'ah is that which coincides with the truth, even if you're one, even if you're by yourself, even if you're all alone. It's not about the numbers, but rather it's about coinciding with the truth. The Imam rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, أكثر الناس غلب عليهم الحس, most of the people, they are overcome by their feelings. They are overcome by their feelings. وملكتهم الشهوات والعادات, and what governs them is their desires and their cultural practices. That's what governs them, their desires. They do what they want, when they want, how they want, and their quote-unquote cultural practices and the like. This is what you find governing most people. فَلَمْ يَرْفَعُوا بِهَذَا الْأَمْرِ رَأْسًا, so they do not even lift their heads to this affair. They don't even lift their heads to the affair of ibadah. They don't even lift their heads to the affair of submitting themselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا جَعَلُوهُ لِبَنَائِهِمْ أَسَاسًا, and they do not utilize this as the foundation for themselves, for their beings. They don't use this as their foundation. But see, the Muslim, this is his foundation. Everything in his life goes back to his deen, goes back to al-Islam. Because the Muslim is one who submits himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One who submits himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-istislam lillah bit-tawheed. He submits himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon tawheed, worshipping Allah and Allah alone. All of his ibadah for Allah and Allah alone. وَالْقِيَادُ لَهُ بِطَاعَةٍ, and one who he is compliant to the obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَتَرْكُ الشِّرْكِ, and he leaves off polytheism. He leaves off polytheism, and he leaves off the polytheists. وَتَرْكُ الشِّرْكِ وَأَهْلِهِ, he leaves off polytheism and he leaves off the polytheist. This is what it means to be a Muslim. In general, this is what it means to be a Muslim, that one submits himself. So now, are we to understand that we submit ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we are inside of the masajid, but then yet outside of the masajid we don't submit ourselves to Allah azza wa jal? No, but rather the Muslim is one who he submits himself to Allah azza wa jal. So the foundation of his very being is the deen of al-Islam. So he acts in accordance to the rules and regulations of the deen of al-Islam. When he is praying, when he is fasting, when he's doing business deals, when he's interacting with this one and that one, every aspect of his life, he acts as a Muslim. Every aspect of his life, he submits himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as relates to that particular thing. But most of mankind, wa'iyadu billah, this is not the foundation that they are built upon. This is not their foundation. The Imam, he says, بَلْ أَعْرَضُوا عَنْهَا اشْتِغَالًا بِشَهَوَاتِهِمْ, but rather they turn away from it. They turn away from obedience to Allah. They turn away from worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They turn away from submitting themselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because they are busy fulfilling their desires. They're busy fulfilling their desires. وَتَرَكُوهُ عُقُوفًا عَلَى مُرَادَاتِهِمْ, and they leave off the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they obsessively engage in their objectives. They obsessively engage in the fulfillment of those things that they want. That's what they do. They busy themselves to chasing after what they want, what their desires dictate to them. The Shaykh, he says, وَلَمْ يَنْتَهُوا لِإِسْتِدْرَاكِ مَا فَاتَهُمْ فِي أَوْقَاتِهِمْ, and they do not pay attention. They do not reach the understanding. They are not aware, nor do they acknowledge that which they have missed out on during their time. They're not aware of what they have missed out on during their time. When the abd meets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's going to be regretful for every hour that he didn't remember Allah therein. For every hour that passed him by, because the hours don't come back. Once they leave, they're gone, that's it. For every hour that he didn't worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in, he will be regretful for that hour, regretful over that time. So now what about the individual who he spends the whole of his life and never inside of his life does he submit himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What about an individual who dies upon not remembering Allah, upon not submitting himself to Allah azza wa jal? An individual who dies upon kufr, an individual who dies upon shirk, wa'iyadu billah. What do you think his regret going to be like yawm al-qiyamah? What do you think is waiting for such an individual except the hellfire? فهم في جهلهم وظلمهم حائرون. So them, they are inside of their ignorance, and they are inside of their darkness, they are inside of their oppression, they are inside of their transgression, confused. This is how we find most people. Confused, in a state of utter confusion. Their lives are a wreck. وَعَلَى حُظُوظِ أَنفُسِهِمْ شَاغِلَةً عَنِ اللَّهِ مُكِبُّونَ. And they are busy trying to acquire some type of good for themselves. So it busies them away from the remembrance of Allah. It busies them and it turns them away from Allah. How many people do we find like this? They never take time to remember Allah, never take time to worship Allah, never take time to seek knowledge and to try their best to have knowledge about the deen of Allah azza wa jal. Why? Because they trying to do this, to do that for the dunya, because they chasing after money, because they busy with investments, and so on and so forth. So much to the point where some of them, wa'iyadu billah, you try to speak to them about Allah, you try to call them to the deen of al-Islam, they'll tell you, man, I ain't got time for that. They say, I ain't got time for that. I'm busy. Got business. Money talks. Don't got time to hear that. Wa'iyadu billah. What a despicable individual. The Shaykh, he says, وَعَنْ ذِكْرِ رَبِّهِمْ غَافِلُونَ. And when it comes to the remembrance of their Lord, they are unaware. وَلِمَصَالِحِ دِينِهِمْ مُضَيِّعُونَ. And when it comes to that which will rectify their deen, they losers. They losing out on that. They miss those opportunities. وَفِي سُكْرِ عِشْقِ الْمَأْلُوفَاتِ هَائِمُونَ. And when it comes to the sweetness or the sweet intoxication of passion of the temporal familiarity, they are baffled. They are baffled by the dunya, so confused with the dunya, so caught up in the dunya. They don't think about the akhirah. Wa'iyadu billah. Some of the human beings, many of the human beings don't even believe in the akhirah because they're so busy with the dunya. Wa'iyadu billah. Allah Ta'ala, He says, نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. Allah Ta'ala, He says, they have forgot Allah and thus forgot themselves. They forgot about Allah, so they forgot themselves. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. They are the criminals. Imam ibn Kathir, rahimahullah ta'ala, قال في التفسير, he says inside of his tafsir, that they forget about tansu dhikrillah. They forget to remember Allah. فَيَنْسِيكُمْ الْعَمَلِ لِمُصَالِحِ الْأَنفُسِكُمْ. That if you forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then thus you will forget, or you will be made to forget to do those actions that will benefit you. To do those actions that will benefit you. التي تنفعكم, those actions that will benefit you في معادكم, those actions that will benefit you when you return back to Allah azza wa jal. Those actions that will benefit you when you return back to Allah azza wa jal. فإن الجزاء من جنس العمل. Because the reward will be equal to the action, the punishment will be equal to the crime. They forgot Allah, thus they forgot about themselves. They forgot Allah, So they forgot about doing those things that will benefit them Yawm al-Qiyamah. They forgot about those things that will benefit them when they return back to their Lord Azza wa Jal. وَلِهَذَا, and due to this, قال الله تعالى, Allah Ta'ala, He says, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ, that they are the criminals, خارجون عن طاعة الله, that they are those who they are outside the boundaries of obedience to Allah Azza wa Jal. They forgot about themselves. الهالكون يوم القيامة, they are those who will be destroyed on the day of judgment. خاسرون الخاسرون يوم المعادهم, they are those who will be losers when they return back to Allah. These are those who forgot about Allah, thus they forgot to do those things that will benefit them when they meet Allah Azza wa Jal. كما قال الله تعالى, as Allah Ta'ala, He says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تلهكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله. Allah Ta'ala, He says, oh you who believe, do not let your monies and your children divert you from the remembrance of Allah. And then Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, He tells us the reality of those who allow this to happen. To those who allow their monies and to allow their children to divert them from the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Ta'ala, He says, وَمَنْ يَفْعَلْ ذَلِكَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْخَاسِرُونَ. And whoever does this, then they are the ones who are losers. Whoever does this, they are the losers. They are those who have lost out. They are those who are losers. They are those who didn't prepare for their true life. Because the true life is not here. The true life is in the akhirah. The true life is in the akhirah. The Shaykh Rahimahullah Ta'ala, he says, وَلَمْ يَتَنَبَّهُ مِنْ هَذِهِ رَقْدِ الْعَظِيمِ. And they never pay attention and they never take notice to this tremendous slumber. They never take notice to the tremendous slumber. There are those who are so caught up, so twisted by the shaitan, that they're sleepwalking and don't realize that they're sleeping. They sleepwalking and don't realize they're sleeping. They losing and don't realize they're losing. وَعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ وَمُصِيبَةَ الْجَسِيمَةِ. And from this great calamity, إِلَّا قَلِيلٍ مِنَ الْعُقَلَاءِ, except for a very small number from the intelligent ones. Only a very small number of the intelligent ones, they realize the reality and they do what they need to be doing. وَالنَّادِرْ مِنْ نُبَلَاءِ, and only a very small or a rarity from those who are noble are those who they understand the reality and they do that which they're supposed to be doing from obedience to Allah and obedience to the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Those are very few indeed, those who are upon the Qur'an and upon the Sunnah, upon the understanding of the Salaf of this Ummah. فعلموا أن الخسارة كل خسارة واشتغال بما لا يوجد على صاحبه إلا وبال والحرمان. So you have to know. And these ones they know, only very small amount of people, they know that verily the true loss and the ultimate loss is to become busy with that which does not produce for its companion, which does not result for its companion except for evil consequences and him being deprived. Evil consequences and them being deprived. وَلَا يُعُوضُهُ مما يؤمل إلا خسران. And it does not avail to him, nor does it give him in exchange for that which he hopes for, except for loss. Except for loss. There are only a very small amount of people who understand this reality. There are only a very few from the people who understand this reality, and they have characteristics. So it is incumbent for us to know what are the characteristics of this very small few? What are the characteristics of this gross minority from human beings who understand the reality of ibadah, who understand the reality of this temporal world, who understand the reality of what awaits for the believers in the akhirah? There's only a very small amount of the people who understand this, and they have characteristics. So we need to learn what are these characteristics so that we may adorn ourselves with the likes of them, so that we may be from them bi'ithnillahi ta'ala. هذا أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولجميع المسلمين فاستغفروه فإنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وبعد. قال الإمام السعدي رحمه الله تعالى فآثر الكمال على الناقص. He says, so let the complete influence the deficient. The Imam rahimahullah ta'ala says, so let the complete influence the deficient. وَبَاعُوا الْفَانِي بِالْبَاقِي. And sell the temporary. Sell it off, get rid of it. Sell it so that you can get what? You can get that which lasts, you can get that which remains. Don't do the opposite. Some people what? They'll sell Jannah for the dunya. They let Jannah go because they want the dunya. No. Leave the dunya. Let the dunya go. Sell it off. Use the dunya for what? For the akhirah. So sell the temporary so that you can get what? That which lasts. وتحملوا تعب التكليف والعبادة. And be forbearant. Be forbearant. Be patient upon the tiredness of doing those things that we've been commanded to do, doing the responsibilities, doing those things that you have been commanded and staying away from those things that you have been prohibited from. It takes effort. It takes effort and great resolve in some cases to do that which is obligatory, to stay away from that which is haram. It takes effort. So the Shaykh, he says, ta'ab al-taklif, upon the hardness of doing what you have to do, upon the responsibilities. And you see many of the kuffar, this is what they don't want to do. They don't want anyone to tell them you can or can't do this. You must do this at this time, in this manner. Don't do that, don't look at that, don't touch that, don't drink that, don't eat that. The kuffar, they don't want that. They don't want nobody telling them what to do. They want to do what they want, when they want, how they want. They want to do what they like. This is the way to kafir. There's no way, or there should be no way, that a Muslim would share this characteristic. Because a Muslim is one who submits himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there are going to be certain times where now you have to do what you've been commanded to do upon this matter. When it comes time to pray, we have to pray. Person say, when I'm at work, the truck you need to be loaded up, or I'm at work and this business transaction has to be done and that. No, everything moves around the salah. Let the salah get fit in when you can fit it in. See, for the Muslim, that's no problem. You understand? Don't eat this pork, we don't eat that. Don't drink that khamar, we don't drink that. No problem. The kuffar, those who don't submit themselves to Allah Ta'ala, they don't want to hear that. They want to drink and eat what they want. No, but the Muslim, he one who submits to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So yeah, the sandwich, it may look really good, but it's pork, we're not going to eat that. Don't care how good it looks, don't care how good it smells. Don't want it, because it's haram. So we have to be patient. We have to be patient upon the effort that is needed to be exerted to do that which is right, and upon worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, حتى صارت لهم لذة وعادة, until all of this becomes for them a source of sweetness, and it becomes that which they are continuously upon, and that which they regularly do, and that which is ingrained into their lives. That which is ingrained into their lives. So they don't look upon these things from obeying Allah as if it is a burden, but they love to do it. It's sweetness for them. Opposite of that is distasteful to them. Opposite of that is that which they hate, they run away from. They love to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So make your soul forbearing upon obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, until the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes the sweetest and most beautiful thing to your soul. until it becomes the most beautiful thing to your soul. The Imam, he says, ثُمَّ صَارُوا بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ sada. And then after that, after it becomes the sweetness of the soul, then you will find that they then at that point will become the leaders. Then they will become the leaders and from the best of the people. Then they'll become the leaders and from the best of the people. These are the ones who are going to be happy Yawm al-Qiyamah. These are the ones who are going to be happy to meet their Lord Subhanahu. But it requires effort. It's not going to come just because you wish it to. It requires effort, serious effort. And we're going to fall short from time to time. We're going to fall short daily. So when we fall short, then we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us, and then we try again and we try harder. And this is going to be the state. Na'am? That we try again and we try harder. The Shaykh, he says, فَاسْمَعْ صِفَاتِهِمْ وَاسْتَعِنْ بِاللَّهِ عَلَى اتصاف بِهَا. He said, so listen closely to their description and seek the aid of Allah upon adorning yourself with their descriptions. So listen closely to their descriptions and then seek the aid of Allah upon adorning yourself with their descriptions. And then the Imam rahimahullah ta'ala, he wrote some beautiful lines of poetry where he outlined and he brought forth the characteristics and the description of the slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those who will be successful, of the righteous believing slaves in Allah ta'ala. Beautiful lines of poetry where he outlines their characteristics that has been entitled As-Sayyid Allah wa Dar al-Akhirah, in a poem that has been entitled Traveling to Allah in the Hereafter. Bidnillahi ta'ala, over the next few weeks we would like to look at these characteristics and go through this poem line by line, as the Imam rahimahullah ta'ala, not only did he write the poem, but then he also came back and he put some ta'liqat, he put some explanatory notes upon each line of the poem. Bidnillahi ta'ala, we would like to look at the first characteristic and the first line of the poem, as the Imam rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, سَعِدَ الَّذِينَ تَجَنَّبُوا سُبُلَ الرَّدَى وَتَيَمَّمُوا لِلْمَنَازِلِ الرِّضْوَانِ. He says that they are happy. سَعِدَ الَّذِينَ تَجَنَّبُوا سُبُلَ الرَّدَى. They are happy those who stay away from the lowly paths. They are happy those who stay away from the lowly, ugly and despicable paths, from polytheism, from disbelief, from all types of crimes and transgressions and sins and so on and so forth, that they are happy those who stay away from the lowly paths. وَتَيَمَّمُوا لِلْمَنَازِلِ الرِّضْوَانِ. And those who they submerge themselves inside of the levels of Ridwan, inside the levels of those things that are praiseworthy, those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is pleased with. Imam al-Sa'di, he says, وَهَذَا هُوَ الْأَصْلُ طَرِيقِهِمْ. He said, and this is the foundation of their path. الْقَاعِدَةَ سَيْرِ فَرِيقِهِمْ. And this is the foundation, this is the base of the treading, or this is the base for the journey for their type and their group. إِنَّهُمْ تَجَنَّبُوا طُرُقَ الْخُسْرَانِ. They stay away from the lowly and despicable ways. وَتَيَمَّمُوا طُرُقَ الرِّضْوَانِ. And they submerge themselves in the ways that Allah Ta'ala, He is pleased with. تَجَنَّبُوا طُرُقَ الشَّيْطَانِ. They stay away from the ways of a shaitan. وَقَصَدُوا عِبَادَةَ الرَّحْمَانِ. And they intend the worship of Ar-Rahman. تَجَنَّبُوا طُرُقَ الْجَحِيمِ. They stay away from the roads that lead to the hellfire. وَتَيَمَّمُوا سُبُلَ النَّعِيمِ. And they submerge themselves in those ways that lead to the Jannah. تَرَكُوا السَّيِّئَاتِ. They abandon the sins. وَعَمِلُوا الْحَسَنَاتِ. And they do the righteous good deeds. نزهوا قلوبهم وألسنتهم وجوارحهم عن المحرمات والمكروهات. And they remove from their hearts, they avoid, or they keep away and push away from their hearts and from their tongues and from their limbs that which is haram and that which is makruh, that which is hated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَشَغَلُوهَا بِفِعْلِ الْوَاجِبَاتِ وَالْمُسْتَحَبَّاتِ. And they utilize these aforementioned things from their hearts and their tongues and their limbs. They utilize them in obedience to Allah Azza wa Jal, and doing those things that are wajib upon them, and doing those things that are recommended for them to do. تحلوا بالأخلاق الجميلة. They adorn themselves with beautiful, righteous characteristics. وتخلوا من الأوصاف الرذيلة. And they leave, or they repel from themselves, and they throw away from them all of the lowly and despicable characteristics. This is the first attribute of those slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that will be happy. This is the first of their attributes and their characteristics. سَعِدَ الَّذِينَ تَجَنَّبُوا سُبُلَ الرَّدَى وَتَيَمَّمُوا لِمَنَازِلِ الرِّضْوَانِ. That they are those who they stay away from the lowly and despicable ways, and they submerge themselves in those things in which Allah Ta'ala He is pleased with, from righteousness, from belief, from tawheed, from the following of the sunnah, from good character, so on and so forth. They are those who they implement the sharia of al-Islam. They are those who implement the sharia of al-Islam. Let us pay attention to the likes of these characteristics, because there is not a single one from amongst us except that we are upon a journey. And when you're upon a journey, you have to know what you need for that journey. So if anyone goes anywhere, he's going to ask anyone who has been there, what do I need? How much should I bring? What is the best way and means of getting there? So on and so forth. So likewise, we should know that we're all moving to the akhirah. We're all on a journey going back to meet our Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He says, وَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. And seek your provisions, get what you need for your journey. And verily, the best of the provisions that you will bring for you upon your journey, the best of the preparations that you will have on your journey, the best of things that you will take with you throughout the course of your journey, then it is taqwa, then it is belief, it is fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So on this journey of life, let us remember this ayah in each and in every moment, and adorn ourselves with those things in which we need to adorn ourselves with, so that when we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are those who are happy. هذا يا عباد فأقيموا الصلاة وإن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر.